personal journey to freedom. And therefore, that journey of healing, and you talked about trauma, and we definitely, I can't believe anybody hasn't had something traumatic happen to them in their lives. Children have that happen. It could be a single word. Who is to judge what is traumatic to anybody else? And while I was out for the walk, I was thinking about this and thinking about what happened to me as a child, the trauma I went through emotionally and physically. And then I just thought, the question came into my head, so have you been affected by PTSD? And my immediate thought then was, but don't people have PTSD have nightmares? I don't get nightmares. I don't dream. And this started a whole process for me. So have I, over the years, bearing in mind I was less than 1 when the first trauma occurred, have I actually managed to switch off my ability to dream because of a fear of what those dreams may contain? Then I took it a stage further. I sleep so badly. I wake up so many times in a night. So have I actually, instead of not dreaming, do I wake myself up from fear of dreaming? So if a dream starts, have I found this trigger to wake me up, to stop me dreaming? And then it was, right, where does this go back to? What aspect of me is really hurt here? And I thought, my baby Jane, I think she's fine. I think my younger Sarah is okay at the moment. Where is this? And it took me back to my broken jaw. That was my wake-up call. And several things that happened, which actually almost took the energies back to the rejection of the child and the pain and the trauma and not having the people there that loved, that I needed the love, I needed to feel protected, etc. And I didn't get that. And I thought, actually, it's my 36, 37-year-old that is sharing this message to open me up and to move that veil, to open me further in to the amazing being that I am. And it is all about the journey to remove those things that are holding us back, and that pain, that hurt, that trauma. So does that make sense? I know we're probably coming at this 2 different angles.
Yes.
But I think that's brilliant, because hopefully that will help people to realize that there are many ways to look at this. And I think our whole thing is to help people to open up and think, maybe I can actually view this from a different point of view, a different perspective.
I think that is very, very well stated. There are many paths to the same thing, and it doesn't make one path wrong and the other one right. It makes them just different. Because for me, it not only can be just belief systems, but it can be outward circumstances. And then when I think back on the things that I had to move through in life, growing up, and realizing that, as an African American woman here in the United States, and how I was told by certain school educators that I would never go to college, or how race played a role in things that I was experiencing, telling me what my limitations were right up front. And then moving through that to see a beautiful me, to realize that no one can put a limit to my education and how I study. As long as I'm read, then I'm capable of learning. That no one can, put a limit to what it is that I'm capable of doing. The only person that does that is me. And so in that lifting the veil is the seeing me as I am, the beauty that I am, the education that I am, the wisdom that I hold, all of it was a beautiful wake-up call. And that we cannot just look external to ourselves, but to take that focus internal to ourselves and dare to see a more beautiful being that we are versus maybe how we're perceived. Maybe our circumstances dictate, or maybe the judgments that were projected. These are all parts of the veil that have to be peeled away. Maybe my own limiting belief system saying that this is all I'm capable of. All of these pieces are factors and aspects of this veil. And then for me, also for those who are dealing with trauma, you know, we use the word forgiveness very, very loosely, like I forgive you, and we think that instantly, you know, things are changed. But what I've also come to learn is that forgiveness has many, many levels. There's the instant gratification of just verbalizing the word yes. But then when you go deeper and when you go on a deep, 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 deep level of this, for me, forgiveness is freedom because I forgive myself in the situation, in the circumstance. And when I do that, I stop looking through the eyes of pain. I stop looking through the eyes of limitation because my humanness actually allows for mistakes. And in that forgiveness, I'm giving myself permission to have made mistakes, that I am not this perfect being, that I do look through the eyes of pain, and I do look through life with a certain bias based on my belief systems and everything and my circumstance around me. And to say it's okay to have done that, but I can change right here and right now, that I don't have to dwell in that. I don't have to be in that circumstance. I don't have to always look through the eyes of pain. And I don't have to have this expectation that it's always going to be that way. And once I can plant that seed of, I am like the creator of my world, and how I choose to see that world is of my own accord, and no one can take that away from me. It opens up a whole new pathway. So, oh, please, I want to invite you back in.
I'm going to pick up on the word mistake, because I actually think there is no way we can make a mistake.
Right.
It's just another stepping stone.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, sort of, was it Thomas Edison? I found 10,000 ways of how not to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But he never considered them a mistake.
That's
because
correct.
everything is a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And when we consider that, okay, fine, we can only ever act with the knowledge we have at the time. Once we have taken the action, we learn more.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to share that the word that I wanted to use was perceived mistake, because, you know, in as much as we don't believe we make mistakes, reality is we do believe we make mistakes. We believe there's right and there's wrong. We believe that there are mistakes, and then there's things that make us go perfectly well. But what it is it's a culmination of all life experiences. And how we justify those, our participation in those life experiences as individuals is typically groomed by the mainstream, which is, oh, that was correct. Oh, that wasn't correct. And in that understanding of self is when we realize that there are no perceived mistakes or mistakes at all. It's just life. So I agree with you. But I want to continue on with what we believe when that veil is lifted. How will this change our lives? Why is this different? So how would it change your life when that veil is lifted? What do you perceive would happen?
Oh, seriously, my wake-up call was, you know, I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Because I'd been in fear of what other people thought about me. And then it was all, because I had 6 months of pain and sleepless nights, I hadn't got the energy to worry about what other people thought about me. But the biggest enlightenment there was, Sarah, do you really think other people are thinking about you? Because you're worrying about what they're thinking about you. They could actually be worrying about what you're thinking about them. And the truth is, you're both worrying about what's going on in your own life. So why are you worrying about what other people think about you? And I'm trying to think whose quote it is, but it's brilliant. It's sort of, why worry about what other, something about, oh, it's none of your business what other people think about you. And it really isn't any of our business what other people think about us. If we haven't deliberately gone out to hurt anybody, and we have done everything with best of intention, and we're doing things out of love, if you don't want to use the word love, best of intention will do. If you're doing things out of kindness, generosity, then, and if people misconstrue that, if their perception of what you're doing is something different to what your intention of that, then that's their issue. If you don't like something somebody else is doing around you, that is your perception, and that is for you to deal with. And that was a huge lifting of the veil. Because all of these, I call it a wake-up call. When we open up to, and we start thinking about things differently, as has happened to me literally this afternoon, it's just, I felt just such a lightness. And it was just the start of an amazing journey to me. And so for me, using that word, lifting the veil, when the veil starts to lift, when you allow it to lift, and you allow yourself to start seeing you. You see, for me, I don't believe that we are encouraged to think about ourselves. From the generation I've grown up in, born in the late 50s, generation I've grown up in was, my mother was still taking care of us at home while Dad went out to work. Eventually the money was so tight, she did go back to nursing. But we were all at school by then. But mostly it was, Mum was always there waiting for us when we got home from school, tea on the table, etc., etc. There were times when we actually went, I think most days we went home for lunch. Dad would pick us all up and drop us all back to school in time. We didn't have lunches at school because that was our family. So Mum was at home. That's what I grew up with. And slowly but surely it was, actually, do you know what? Women can have jobs, they can have careers, they can do more than be just a little woman at home. And then, there's this thing going, why is all the kitchen tools things white? Because the wedding dress is white. Once you've married, you're tied to the kitchen sink and the home. That is your job, the home. We lift the veil. We step into the freedom of who we are. And it is okay to think, I haven't got to be a wife, a mother. I can be a wife, a mother, and I can be the individual that I am. How do you introduce yourself to people if you are with your partner, your children, your parents? Are you, I am so-and-so's wife or so-and-so's husband? Or are you, I'm Sarah, whoever's wife. I am Sarah, whoever's mother, and I'm not a mum. I am Sarah, this is my mother, or this is my father. I am. Because I come first, not because I wish to act detrimentally to other people, but because when I love me, I hug me, I take care of me, I think about me, I can bring so much more to others. While I'm constantly in fear, I'm not benefiting anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. If I were to take the same question and I go, how will this change my life? I want to go to that saying that says, getting out of your own way. Because we use that saying, oh, you just need to get out of your own way. But what does that really, really mean? Because the culmination of our belief system, how we grew up, what was projected onto us in terms of what our capabilities are, no matter what, and then what our means are, all play a factor into this. And for me, that breaking down of all of those particulars as walls. Well, I can't do that. I can't afford it. Well, I can't do that. I can't learn past it. I'm not capable. It's like we operate in this bubble. And in this bubble, this is our comfort zone. And to break a piece of that bubble to expand out, it's like, whoa, I don't know if I want to do that. It's risky. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know what's going to come. I can't control my day. I can't plan my day. I can't make a plan and guarantee that X, Y, and Z will execute. And it's that bubble, it's that way of thinking to me that's like the prison. When I think of the greatest leaders that we have, some of our biggest leaders, when I think of like Martin Luther King Jr., when I think of Mandela, and they were sitting in jail, and they were basically saying, but I'm free. And I'm free because freedom is the state of mind. You can walk through life and be in prison every moment of your life. But when you allow to be more open in your belief system, when you allow to look at different points of views and introduce them into your life, when you allow the walls to fall down or to break down and say, you know, I'm going to try this just because it's new doesn't mean it's not capable. You know, you may call this the eternal optimist, but the bottom line is that unless I make a different decision and introduce something new into my life, how will I ever get a different result? The same thing with trauma and letting it go. Unless I make a different decision and stop viewing through the eyes of my trauma, how will I ever realize that life can be lived differently? The same thing with anger. If the problems are so immense and everything seems hopeless, I'm just going to spin. But to have that eternal optimistic or that eternal thought that I'm going to make a different decision, and even though I see the walls right in front of me, I'm not going to act based on the perceived or seen limitation, because it only takes one small act to break through. You know, if we're in a dark cave, if we're not willing to flicker on that lighter and to change all of that darkness to that one light, because light changes everything, how will we ever see differently? It's imperative in my mind that we flicker that light in the middle of, I don't care what the perceived darkness is, that we go beyond our comfort level, that we understand that life is a journey and we have to live it. And living that means allowing ourselves to expand, and allowing ourselves to expand is to embrace new things that we're not comfortable with, things that we are learning, things that we have no notion of, things that can be introduced into our lives anew, and that we dare to step into it in our fullness and not live completely in our comfort zone. And that's what gives life adventure. That is what allows us to realize that we can live differently and we can expand and we have joy and that we can walk a different path and not just the same status quo. So when I drop that getting out of my own way, perceived limitations in my bubble, I embrace life. I truly, truly embrace life. So we're talking about all of this and we're speaking to people and we're saying, you know, this is what you do. But what do you say to those people who are listening? You know, what are you really talking about? What am I feeling when I'm free? What would you say to that person who's like, yeah, you're saying this, but what is it that I'm really talking about when I'm saying I'm free?
For me, the freedom is just honoring myself. Seriously, it is just honoring myself and knowing how special I am, and that I totally accept each and every one of us is special and unique in our own special way. I am no more special or less special than anyone else. But acceptance of how special I am in my own unique way. I've worked with people with learning and physical difficulties. They are special in their own unique way. They're classed as having, you know, the term in the UK was mentally handicapped originally for learning difficulties. And that's a terminology that's been gone a while. It really has. But they have their own special gifts. Just because they don't live a normal life, what's normal and whose normal is it anyway? You know, your normal, my normal's not the same thing. We are free to live our own normal. And we should not be made to feel abnormal for not being the same way as the people they want to class as normal.
I think that you're right on point with that. You're right on point. And then I would share this, that many of us are chastised when we truly act upon what we feel versus conforming to what we know. And you have to find the courageousness within self to truly stand as you feel in your truth. When we look at the greatest minds of the world, they were unique. I think of Einstein. I think of the inventors, because I remember just reading so many inventors where everyone looked at them and said, "You're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not going to work. It's always been this way. This is the way it has to be." And it's that one person that stands. It's that one person that stands in their truth. And even though it may take years for the rest of the world to catch up, because you are in your truth right at this moment, right now, and nobody can see it, doesn't mean that it's not correct. Doesn't mean that it's not the beauty that it is. Doesn't mean that you are right here and right now and you are not before your time.
Yeah.
And that is so imperative to know, because there are many of us who are before our time. And we stand in our truth.
Are we before our time?
Yes.
Or is it not our time? Einstein's time was his time.
Yes.
It was essential. You know, the time is essential because it's like, when was the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best time to plant a tree? Today.
Yes. Yes. But when I say before the time, is before the masses were able to grasp what Einstein had to give. And when I say before our time, it's like the teacher is ready, the students are lacking. The students need help. And we sometimes, as the students, need to catch up. It's okay, but we need to catch up and we need to realize it. And realizing is just being open. And that leads me to like how I want to end this and the last major question, which is, what are the signs that show that I may need to look at my life to lift the veil? What are the signs?
I think it's just openness. Just be open. Allow your thoughts. Today I was allowing my thoughts to flow, and I was open to my thoughts. Be open to hearing a bit of a conversation that might speak to you. Does something come at you 3 times in different ways? Because it's trying to get your attention. Have you got an ache or pain in your body? Is it trying to get your attention? It is all out there, but it's not going to be somebody saying to you, excuse me, time to open up, time to listen. This is what you need to look at next. It doesn't come that simply. We just have to open up. So if there is a word or a sentence that has occurred in this conversation, and it helps you by going away and thinking about it and opening up to it, as I was doing this afternoon, I don't make suggestions from things I don't do myself. I'm not one of these people that says, here, take my advice, I'm not looking at, I'm not using it. I'm one of these people that says, there's a suggestion for you. The universe gives you nudges, it gives you suggestions. It doesn't give advice, because most of us aren't good at taking advice, and I know I'm one of them. Suggest something to me, I might look at it. Tell me I've got to do it, make it advice, and probably, as good as it might be, not good advice. And that's why I don't give advice. I make suggestions. So we have to just allow ourselves to open up. To truly open up. And just going back to comfort zone, I don't see comfort zone as stepping outside of it. I see comfort zone as getting out of it by stepping back into ourselves and connecting with ourself, because that gives us the permission, the freedom to be who we are.
Yeah. I would just like to add that in my perception, if you're walking through life and you're not happy, I think that happiness is one of the biggest flags. There is stepping through life and doing what's necessary, and then there's stepping through life and being truly happy about what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you're asking yourself questions like, well, I'm doing this job, but I'd really rather be doing something else, but this job is getting me through, you're not happy. If you are stepping through life saying, oh, life is tough and I'll never be able to get a better job, I'll never be able to get better educated, those things where you want to reach, but right now they're a dream for you, you're looking through the veil. If things seem hopeless, if things seem impossible, and no matter what you try to do, you cycle right back to where you were, you're looking through the veil. If you're reaching to somebody else to say, how do I change my life? How did you do this? I'm trying to do it and it just doesn't happen. And every time I try, it's failure. And every time I fail, it scares me, so I can't do it that way anymore. You're looking through the veil. If you're afraid to go outside because you got hurt, physically or mentally, and it has petrified you and you're living in fear, you're looking through the veil. I look at all of these emotional states where my emotional state is so powerful that it's leading me, and absent of those emotional states are joy, peace. You're looking through the veil. And to me, these are all powerful signs that you need to invite something else into your life to help you find your joy and your peace, and to be able to live life differently, and to be able to make different decisions, and to be able to see life in a different way, and to be able to see people and engage people a different way, and to be able to approach what we do and how we choose to do it in a different way. So you're absolutely right. It is looking within yourself, and it's choosing to change the parameters of which we operate in and how we think. And so on that note, I'm going to stop right there, because that is a perfect segue into our next conversation, which is called, What is Holding You Back? What is it that's holding you back? Can you look yourself in the mirror and truly say, this is what's holding me back? So thank you, everyone. Thank you for checking us out on this Facebook Live. This URL, the link will be available. It'll be available on my website at enolia.live, and it will be available. Sarah Jane, you want to say where it's going to be available?
On giftofhealingtv.com.
Absolutely. We are so grateful for you joining us. We hope that you will join us back on episode 3. We're excited to have these conversations, and we hope that what we share in our life experiences will touch your heart, and know that we are coming from our hearts. And Sarah Jane, do you want to say anything?
Just that it is such a pleasure to have the conversations, and I, like you, do this because we feel it's just totally the right thing to do.
Yes.
I feel I'm here to touch lives, and that's why I do this. And if my experiences, and I do share from my own personal experiences, if my experiences help you to take that next step into yourself, that next step forward on your life journey, where with some more joy and happiness, then that is exactly why I do, why I'm here.
And I want to reiterate the same thing. I share from my heart, and I share from my life experiences. Matter of fact, I've written a book that's in the process for that very exact reason. The services that I provide is for that very exact reason, because you are not alone on this journey. And if my experiences can help guide you and help break down some of those limiting beliefs or things that we perceive that are holding us back, then we welcome you. We welcome to work with you. We welcome to help you and be of assistance. So thank you again. Thank you, Sarah Jane. Thank you for joining us halfway around the world in the UK and here in America. We're so grateful. And until next time.
Until next time, namaste.
Bye-bye.